The most surprising part, in the process for me is that what you think about, like the end result of the movie is like pretty like 95% of what I wanted it to be, which is pretty incredible given the support of the studio, and as well as it was produced by Galyn and the team that she managed. But as far as like the most surprising thing to me was how much you have to break the story every step of the way. For example, script is written, you put it into boards. Jokes don't read the same way. It's different. That gets edited. You got to refine the jokes again. You record scratch voices and you retime that. That breaks the jokes again. You get the real voices. That breaks the jokes again. You put it into layout where you see all the CG characters in there. It's a little bit different. You got to reinterpret your movie for each one of those processes. So the amount of and in a short film, you're kind of always dealing with everything at once. But with this, in the sequences, it's amazing that movies are as lucid as they are, because you just you have to work so hard to get something that just makes sense, let alone is compelling. And
right, well, and you have to, as you were mentioning before, you have to focus in on the details and yet keep that macro perspective of what is the whole story, what is the through line, while at the same time you're looking at a texture on a box and trying to decide whether that's effective, right? So it's like minutia, big picture, and constantly bobbing back and forth.
yeah, but the most surprising thing is how much you, in the process of making the film, you have to break it in an effort to find it. And by breaking, it means change things you're really excited about, but to find the core essence of it. And the way you're able to be successful of it, I think, is to figure out what your emotional story is. And your emotional story will tell you whether or not the thing belongs in the movie. So since the emotional story is about Jessie's journey of self-confidence, and it's a confidence journey, the funny part with the pencil topper didn't work for that emotional moment, so that was easy to cut from that standpoint. It was funny, we all laughed, it got a big laugh in the movie, and you know, at a great point, but it was a different movie back then, and so what the movie becomes is just through a series of thousands of decisions. So. Immediately, I wanted to tell, I wanted there to be a story about Jessie, because I felt like there was an opportunity there, given her stature in the series, but that we knew about Buzz, we knew about Woody, but we didn't necessarily know as much as we could know about Jessie, or we didn't feature Jessie as much as we could, given the number of characters, and this was an opportunity to trade on that a little bit and figure that out. Also, because it was, the idea was it was going to be this kind of old school Halloween special, kind of like in kind of a different media landscape, but kind of a classic way. It's not kind of a common thing that's done that much, and some of the other animation studios do that, but this was meant to be this like annual thing. I kind of felt like, well, we're gonna. It was a situation of limitations in a great way. It was like, okay, well, you have, it's going to be a scary. These are the things you could work with. It's Toy Story. It's going to be scary, special. It's going to be. It's not Halloween themed, even though it'll be out around Halloween, because it doesn't necessarily work for international markets, because it's not. It's not universal, and I was glad about that limitation, because I didn't, as much as I love Halloween, I didn't really want to see a story where they get dressed up and go trick-or-treating. Like, it wasn't something that was interesting to me. I feel like I'd seen that before, and so that was a great limitation. A limitation was you only had a certain amount of time, and because you only have a certain amount of time, we could only use a certain number of characters to pay off that much time. So these limitations were all great for a universe that is vast and huge and has been in over 3 movies. So that's kind of the impetus from it. And yeah, once it was decided that this was my assignment, I met with John. We settled on it's going to be in a motel, and there'll be spoiler alert, a guy selling toys on like an online auction house. That was the thing. What we said that he and I sat in a room and like settled on that, and then I came back and pitched Jessie's story and Combat Carl's in the movie, and those and that was the big. That never changed. Like adding Carl Jr. and some of that stuff like added to it, but it was always like Carl Jr.'s character. And the only thing that really changed was that the third person thing came about.
Right.
But it was always.
Well, and then Carl Jr. would be voiced by Carl.
That changed, yeah.
That was a change.
That was a suggestion from John, and I think it worked really well, just to pitch up Carl Weathers, which was funny.
If you think about all of our Toy Story movies, there is an element of threat. There are frightening moments in those movies, right? So
Toy Story 3 is scary.
Toy Story 3 is way
Toy Story 1
scarier
is pretty scary
than Toy
too.
Story of Terror.
Yes.
Sid's room
Is
is
really scary.
really scary,
That
right?
baby thing still is haunting.
Okay, so from the perspective of Toy Story, I don't think this is any scarier. The thing that's different is that, unlike the feature films when they are first released, some parents will choose to plop their very young children down in front of the television and walk out of the room. So that's not something that you have to worry about at the first release of a Toy Story 3. So I think that it's really, we were really firm on wanting the word terror in the title. Because from our perspective, what we're doing is we're messaging to parents, this is scary. If your child is liable to be scared, please don't leave them alone in the room with the movie, right? So it's not, Toy Story Halloween special. It's Toy Story of terror.
If that
and
title,
terror's big.
Yeah. If the
You
title
want
is something that doesn't sound like it would be for you, then maybe the movie isn't for you. And that
That's
was,
right.
and it was a very,
We were pretty firm about that one. It was important to us to message it correctly.
tonally though, we're with these movies so long, and we see them so many times, and we just put stuff in the movie we think is funny. So if we make the movie for ourselves, like I kind of feel like, I would joke, like the person I'm making this for is, like, he's gonna be 40 soon. He's got a couple of kids. So there's like a very specific. There's like it's just like basically stuff that I like, stuff that the teen likes. We put in the movie, and so if you are trying to make it, it comes out so late. If you're chasing a trend or you're doing something for a fictitious audience, that's an easy way to get something bland. And for us, we did stuff we felt was true to the toy world, true to the Toy Story world, and true to what we thought and enjoyed, and generally put in stuff that made us laugh, and hopefully that connects too with the emotional story that tells us what should be in the movie. So I'm glad that you were carried. I mean, by design is trying to drag you along in that way, in a way that the emotional story is there to anchor you. Hopefully the humor doesn't take away from that. As far as like appropriateness for kids, as with all media, I think that parents should be involved with what they see. But yeah, definitely there are some very intense elements, and I think that parental guidance is definitely suggested. But not in the first way. We want to get the largest
Honestly,
audience possible.
I think kids are going to love this. I think they're going to love the suspense aspect of it. I would just hope that parents would watch it with their children.
Yeah.
But it's Toy Story, so of course they're going to watch it.
I don't know why. It's funny reading some of the online comments. Like, I'm excited about this, and I'm 21. It's like, dude, like, it's It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that edgy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't not be excited about a movie. We love Toy Story as much as they do, and that we've been living with this movie for a long time and done everything we can to make it the best Toy Story movie that would fit into a 22-minute time slot. And we are very excited to share this with all the Toy Story fans of the world.